What Christian Service Mission was when I came was just a facility that just had stuff. Christian Service Mission was a mess, and we felt that God had told me to clean the house, He'd fill the house, and we did that for a year. And it was on April 27th that everything changed.
Yeah, Jason, the tornado appears to be just north of the downtown area.
This is serious business.
And we're the distribution center for the downtown area of Birmingham, working with a lot of disaster relief. Over $10 million worth of resources that came in that next year. And we would continue to give it away. And God's fulfilled the vision, which He said, clean it up, and He'd fill it up. And it still happens today. He wanted this place back to serve as a hub of transformation. For people, for lives, for the gospel of Jesus Christ. He will direct you if you put your eyes on Him. That's where He wants us to stay. That's where He wants us to be. To know God and then to make Him known.
Tell you what, we're just going to, I think they don't have microphone audio, but they do have video audio. So I'm going to let the professionals worry about that, and we're just going to keep on going. Please welcome to the stage, Tracy Hips, Executive Director of Christian Service Mission. Thank you. It should be on, yes.
Testing,
excellent. So, what a joy it was to be able to produce this episode on Christian Service Mission. And during our time together, you made the point of saying that God called us to build His church, not build His nonprofit.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that, and how does that guide the work that you're doing?
Well, in the scriptures, God talks about building His kingdom, and His kingdom is made up of churches and people, but it's really the church that He's called us to be a part of. And so we want to help build the church. And so we do that by working with the church, working with the people in the church, but working with all people, but bringing it back to the realization it's about His kingdom come, His will be done.
Yeah, and so much of what you do, you kind of got a little taste of that there, but it's massive food distributions throughout the Birmingham area. There's the Amazon donations that you get. How much annually do you get from Amazon that you then distribute out?
Between $5 and $6 million with Amazon. Last year we had 27 tractor trailer loads that we were able to come in and then distribute out.
Okay. What's that?
Call Rob.
Yeah, we're talking. Thank you. No. I just talked to him. We're doing the best we can. My sister, my assistant. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes. So you're doing all of that. There's also the home construction piece that you do, and home repair for people who perhaps, are trying to stay in the places where they live, but are having some difficulty maintaining them. And then you also are really bringing Birmingham together. And Birmingham is, historically a segregated city, but you're bringing churches, white churches, black churches, together to help fulfill your mission. And one of the really inspiring things that I saw you do last year was 16th Street Baptist Church, and trying to get people, other churches, wherever they are, to commemorate the sad occasion that was back in the 60s. Share more about that. Yeah,
part of that is we have to remember the past to know how we want to move forward in the future. Yeah. Working with Pastor Price at 16th Street Baptist Church, he's a part of a network of 30 or 40 pastors have been working together for a number of years now. And to honor that and to use that as a springboard to the future, not just remembering the past, but a way to move forward in the future, to unite the city, to work together to make a difference. And that's what we do in bringing churches together, working together.
And how many churches participated in that Day of Remembrance?
It's about 40 churches involved in that.
Yeah. Beautiful. Lastly, and what I want to share next is, we often think about the people that a nonprofit serves, and what y'all are serving thousands each year. But I think just as impactful, perhaps goes unnoticed, are the volunteers who do the service, how their lives are changed, how your life has changed as working for that. And we have a clip here. What kind of got me working with Christian Service Mission is that a longtime dear family friend of ours, Dickie Atchison, who is here tonight, is one of your volunteers. And he has a beautiful, inspiring story to share, and I'd like for us to play that now.
Then there is, of course, my good friend Dickie Atchison, who was introduced to Christian Service Mission more than a decade ago by a man in his Bible study. He started serving just a couple of days a week, but tragically and too quickly, he soon became the one who needed to be served. The reason?
My wife, Jody, we started dating in the 10th grade in high school and dated all through high school, dated all through college, dated for 7 years before we got married. Mm-hmm. And we spent over 49 years married, and she developed a real rare brain disease in 2017 and passed away in 2018. My best friend, love of my life, one of the wisest, biggest heart, beautiful, caring. All her students over her 30 years in education loved her to death, that she taught and coached, and she made me a better person, that's for sure. And so, yeah, I couldn't have, God blessed me with the ultimate partner in life.
Having known her, I would agree. Yeah.
Thank you.
You did well.
Well, I did.
You outkicked your coverage, as they say.
Yeah, that's right. I did.
I asked Dickie what his life would be like today without Christian Service Mission.
I have no idea. I might not even be alive at this point. You know, losing Jody was a traumatic thing for me, of course, and having been together for 57 years. But thank goodness God had already led me to be here part-time. And then after she passed away, they said, you know, you can work as much as you want to. So that's what I've done. Mm-hmm. The construction guys that I work with, and there's 3 or 4 of us, 5 of us, I guess now, just great guys that are good Christian men that love what they do. They're all retired. And we do what we do every day. And I love the folks here. I love the folks that we get out and meet in these communities. Once Jody passed away, you know, I didn't have that, didn't get those hugs all the time. And you go out into these communities. Just yesterday, we finished a deck for a lady over in North Birmingham. And she must have hugged all of us 3 or 4 times, thanking us, just giving us hugs. And the reaction of the people we work with just hits you right in the heart. And since I lost part of my heart, a lot of my heart, when Jody passed away, these people have fulfilled that some. And this place has fulfilled that some. So they've replaced what I needed.
I see you still wear your ring.
I do. Not only that, this is Jody's wedding band. I wear it around my neck 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, close to your heart.
Close to my heart.
She's still there.
She's right there.
Yeah.
And people say, you still wearing your ring? I say, well, I'm still married. She's just not here. But she's waiting on me. She told me that before she passed away. She said, I'll be waiting on you in heaven. And I believe that, and I'm looking forward to that. Not through here. Not through here, but it's win-win. if I get to stay here, I get to do what I do, get to be here with my kids and grandkids, and one day I get to be reunited with her and be in the presence of Jesus. Doesn't get any better than that.
Okay.
So I want to thank Dickie Atchison for his willingness and openness to sharing his story. I want to thank Tracy for the incredible work that Christian Service Mission does. And I want to introduce Tracy's son, Tate, who was the videographer for this episode, as well as the next episode that we're about to do. Tate, where are you? Back here. Back there. Okay, Tate's in the very back. He's the one bald guy with the beard. The other bald guy with the beard is the videographer for the other two episodes we're going to do tonight. Anyway, so I'm so blessed and fortunate to have such talent here in Birmingham to lean on to help produce these episodes. So thank you all so much. By way of introduction, and for those of you who are wondering, we now have audio live streaming out, right? So my poor sister, who was getting calls from my wife back at home and from Rob, my live stream guy, she was fielding all this. So thank you, Charlotte, for helping navigate this. We're all good to go, though. So you did it. You did it. All right. By way of introduction for our next nonprofit star, anyone who knows my childhood or has known me from childhood knows that I attended John Carroll High School. And if you know that my experience there as a non-Catholic at the time was, let's say, less than ideal. My freshman year, there were words like expulsion, even excommunication that were routinely uttered about me while I was there. So I will admit it was with some hesitation and skepticism when I was invited earlier this year to go visit Holy Family Cristo Rey, the other Catholic school in Birmingham. And that is how I got to meet Bo Garrett, president of Holy Family Cristo Rey. Get on up here. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm doing great. Grab a seat. Yes, yes. All right. So, Catholic school, private school.
Absolutely.
An expensive proposition.
It is.
Typically, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, private schools, they rely on a lot of full pay families to then help defray the cost of being able to provide scholarships for under-resourced, lower income families to be able to attend and have that experience. But at Holy Family Cristo Rey, most, if not all, of the families whom you serve are low income.
That's correct.
How do you make that happen?
Well, before we do that, I want to
Yeah.
thank you for this awesome experience. I want to thank Tate, the smaller bald guy with the beard, and also thank the Goodrich Foundation and Carol Butler for making this happen. So, affordability. So, yes, you can afford a college prep private school education. It's possible. So the way Cristo Rey began in Chicago, the public schools were closing and consolidating.
Real quick, the Cristo Rey model.
Yeah, the Cristo Rey model started in Chicago.
Nationwide, not just here in
Thank you for the
Birmingham.
clarification
Sure.
here. There are 41 Cristo Rey schools around the country, and the model started because there was a desire from the families living in this neighborhood for Catholic education, and they could not afford the Catholic schools in Chicago. They're very expensive, and their kids were getting bused all over Chicago. So they went to the priest and they said, we need schools. And the priest said, what are we going to do? We can't afford this. How are we going to fund it? So they went to the companies in Chicago, and they arranged for those companies to hire students one day a week. And then those companies made a contribution to the school as tuition. So the students were working one day a week to earn their tuition. So that's what makes it affordable. That, and there's some other things behind the scenes. There's some money raising going on, and we're fortunate to be in Alabama, which is a big proponent of school choice. So we benefit from scholarship granting organizations, and recently the ESAs, which just started the education savings accounts. So yes, you can afford private school education.
And all that together makes it almost no cost for a lot of the families who go to Holy Family.
Yes, the most families pay is $50 a month But let me talk a little bit about corporate work study,
Yeah.
if I may. So in the corporate work study program, our students are not only partnered with these incredibly generous companies and organizations around the city, we have dedicated time in what we call Professional Skills Academy, so that students learn all of the skills that they're going to need in the corporate environment, and then they get the experience in the corporate work environment. So they leave high school with 4 years of corporate work experience. So it really clarifies their goals for them. And they may be placed in a job that they think, like, oh, I want to be in finance. And then they spend a year in finance, and like, I do not want to be in finance. So we get an opportunity to help them
Yep.
sort of clarify their path and their college choice.
Right. And how awesome is that they're figuring that out during high school rather than wasting time and money, if they go to college trying to figure that out. They go to college having a pretty good idea of what they want to do.
They can choose their college based on what they want to do,
Yeah.
which I didn't do. I chose a college and then changed majors 3 or 4 times. Birmingham Southern, by the way, it's a great place to change majors.
That's right.
Or it was a great place to
Yeah.
change majors, I should say. But
Yes.
forward ever, right? Forward ever.
Forward ever.
So giving them a clear path, really the clearest path. I'm probably not supposed to say this out loud, but every high school in the country should be doing what we're doing. It is a fantastic model. I mean, there's so many other elements to it, but the corporate work study piece is key. When you ask any student, current student, alumni, parent, what is special about Holy Family Cristo Rey, 99 times out of 100, they lean into corporate work study, and what a unique experience that is.
And with that, why don't we show our clip from our episode highlighting corporate work study.
For us, high schoolers or people, we go through different phases of life of what we want to do, and it switches like every other month, every other week. The great thing about corporate work study is you get that experience already before you leave high school.
She's worked at Ed Farm, and that's what really sparked her desire to be in IT.
The second job and my last job that I had was working at Hibbett Corporate. And there I was able to work in the corporate office, see what it was like, was able to learn how to express myself in big meetings and with important people like Nike executives. And so just learning how that environment worked was really special.
Well, she actually works at UAB right now, the corporate work study. And she's grown up. The people there, the staff she works for, they're great. She wants to be a mortician. That's what she says. And her supervisor actually arranged for her to go with the mortician, took her to the mortician, the morgue, I'll say it like that.
The following year, she got an opportunity to work at Blue Cross Blue Shield in the IT department. And that really, she decided that this is what she wanted to do for her career.
I always wanted to help people. That's why I worked at Children's Hospital, nourishing the patients. But at first I wanted to be a registered nurse, but I've done some shadowing at registered nursing at Children's Hospital, and that wasn't really my thing, but I always knew I wanted to take care of people.
So I am a student at Harvard University. I'm a sophomore, and I'm studying theater, dance, and media, music, and mind, brain, and behavior.
And then they moved her over to Southern Research, and she didn't care for it because she's like, I'm not dissecting any animals, Daddy. And so I'm like, well, just try it. It's not for me. I said, yes, ma'am.
And she was so happy that she's got some experiences such as holding a heart. And she was just so amazed that day when she came home. I said, weren't you afraid? She said, no. And she's kind of a little timid, but this is what she wants to do. So I really am happy that she has decided what she wants rather than me telling her what I want her to be. Because it doesn't matter what I want, it's what she wants.
So next year, I'm going to Alabama State to pursue a career in social work and potentially get my master's in social work.
And so we're in our first year of college with her. She attends Liberty University online, of course, because she's still working at Blue Cross Blue Shield. her intern here at high school turned into a job. So it's just been amazing with the connections that she has had here at Holy Family Cristo Rey.
All right. That's worthy of applause. Very nice.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So that's kind of what's happening outside the school walls of Holy Family Cristo Rey. But inside, you're still a Catholic school.
Absolutely.
Talk about that.
So I've been in schools for 3 decades. I've been fortunate to visit schools all over the country in various capacities. And the culture of the school is phenomenal. It is unlike anything I have ever felt. And I would invite anybody in this room to schedule a tour for any reason, especially if you've had a bad week. Like maybe your Pope didn't win or the market's down. If you just need a pickup, come to Titusville and see us. Spend 30 minutes there. It'll turn your whole life around. But we are asking these kids to do really difficult things. They are coming from, not all of them, but a lot of them are coming to us with academic deficits. They're 2 or 3 years behind. And we're also catapulting them into this environment in the corporate work. So we're asking a tremendous amount of these children, and they're children. They're 14 years old when we get them. None of this would be possible if it were not for the faith aspect of our school, if it weren't for Catholic social teachings. And we serve a very diverse population. We have a significant number of our students are Catholic, about 33%. 25% of our adults in the building are Catholic, but the other portion of students come from all sorts of denominations, and some kids not raised in church. So we have to respect that, which I love because I'm Episcopalian, right? So I did go to Catholic school, so I appreciate Catholic school education. I'm a Catholic light, and I think that's what they call us Episcopalians. But we lean into Catholic social teachings as hard as we can. And it fits so nicely into what are the best practices in education right now. So I wrote them down so I wouldn't mess them up, right? So the dignity of every human being, that is a Catholic social teaching. Family engagement, making sure that every family and every member of the family participates. Human rights, right? Options for families, we're a school of choice, right? So options, giving access to all folks who are denied certain things. The dignity of work, couldn't hang that one any harder than you could in corporate work study. Solidarity, which I think we all appreciate. The common good, right? And my favorite one, which was a new one for me in this new job, I've only been there since July, is subsidiarity, which is making decisions at the lowest possible level. So instead of me as the president dictating what's going to happen all the way down the line, we are able to work with every single family and every single student, no matter what it is. And I taught middle school for 17 years, so I know what middle school kids would say. Well, that's not fair, Mr. Garrett. That's not fair. Well, maybe not. But what's important is that we make that decision at the family level, with the family, and what's best for that student and that family. And that's what's most important to us. And the restorative practices that we use in our school line up directly with those things. And we are a phenomenal home for any kid, but especially for our students who come from all sorts of different experiences and backgrounds. So we are a college prep school. We want them not only just to get in college, but to thrive in college. They are getting corporate work experience, which is unique to the Cristo Rey model. Nobody else is doing that. But the most important thing that we do is that we are facilitating the development of really good human beings that recognize they are a small part of something much bigger than themselves. And I hope you brought some Kleenex for this next clip. So,
well, as we say goodbye to Bo Garrett, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
And our next clip features one of their religion teachers. I guess you're a primary religion teacher.
KDU. So they get 4 years of religion. 9th and 10th grade is focused on Catholic.
Right. And I got to say, as a non-Catholic who went to a Catholic high school, I wish I had her.
Oh, man.
She's spectacular.
She's
and
amazing.
I think you'll enjoy. Please play.
She's beautiful, yeah.
My name is Katie Utiamko. I teach religion to 9th and 10th grade students. The population I'm teaching here is a lot of students from many different religious backgrounds. Some of our students are Catholic and are regularly attending church. Some of our students are regularly attending other denominations, churches. Some of our students don't attend church at all and have not really been raised in any faith.
That's the other thing that I liked about this school is that they are Catholic. So we have Mass.
Despite the fact that, I'm not Catholic, but I appreciate that we're able to build our relationships with God.
If I could only teach my students one thing, it's hard to narrow it down to one thing, maybe a group of related ideas, that they are valuable, that they are loved, that they are in this world with a purpose to love others in a way that only they can, and that they are part of a really beautiful story that will end with all of these things that confuse us somehow making sense. A lot of our students have more demands placed on them than are really fair for their age, and I think a lot of them are wondering what's the point.
Her mother passed when she was 5. She's actually my son's daughter. My son and I have joint custody of her.
Students at this school in particular, we work with a lot of students from immigrant populations, people who have family members in other countries.
So my parents came here from Mexico. We moved to Alabama because lots of our family members were here, and we found this to be a good place.
People who have to take on leadership roles in their families at a very young age, people who are really working as providers for their families while they're in high school, trying to invest in their own future.
Really following the wrong crowd, to be honest. Not doing the things that I really wanted to do as far as progressing.
And then there's also just the struggles that all families face. Broken families, deaths in the family.
So I was often separated from my biological parents, and then by the age of 13, I was an orphan due to my mother passing away in a car accident when I was 9 years old, and then my dad passed away from cancer when I was 13.
Being human is really hard, and when you have the privilege of working with high school students, you really see people dealing with things that they, in a perfect world, they would not have to be dealing with at such a young age. I try to be a safe place for them. I try to create an environment in my classroom where they feel safe, physically, emotionally, mentally. And that's, it's a challenge, but it's also the greatest privilege of teaching here and teaching anywhere. I see the story of Catholic education, especially in America, as reaching out to marginalized communities who were new to this country, who were not accepted, communities who wanted a school that would respect their beliefs and values and that would help them pass that on to their children, challenging them, providing them with academic excellence and rigor, but also embracing them as a whole person. I think that it is just everything that Catholic education should be.
I had lost hope, kind of, at the end of 8th grade. And since I came here, I've been getting that uplifting energy here.
I'm a regular, church goer. I go to church all the time. So that, on top of going to a school that is faith-based, is giving me a chance to make my relationship with God stronger and not just be like a lukewarm Christian.
I feel like Holy Family really values their students a lot. They really want to help them go forward in life and aim for the best to actually be that difference in the world that they need.
All right, many thanks again to Bo Garrett and Holy Family Cristo Rey. Many thanks again to Tate Hips for the videography. Now, I edited it. I'm sure he would want everybody to know that he did not edit the episode because I'm sure he's saying all sorts of things like, I wish he had done that and that. No, but it was great working with Tate, so thank you so much. All right, it is time for a regular segment that I like to do for my Buzz Live shows, and that is to provide nonprofits who are either here in person or tuning into our live stream with some no-budget nonprofit marketing advice. And for our no-budget nonprofit marketing minute, we have with us the Vice President of Marketing at Cushman & Wakefield, Audra Willingham. Thanks so much.
very happy to be here.
Well,
thank you so much for inviting me out.
Absolutely. So we actually just got acquainted with each other about a week ago, but the worlds that you have occupied in the past and occupied right now are certainly ones that nonprofits need to be aware of. So you're in the for-profit space now, but talk about your nonprofit experience.
Yeah, so I started my career in the nonprofit sector. I worked at the Birmingham Museum of Art, right here a couple of blocks away. It's a fabulous facility. From there, I moved over to Vulcan Park and Museum, of course, right up on the hill in Red Mountain, looking over the museum, and was able to gain more experience in marketing, communications, and a lot of event planning, having worked at Vulcan Park. And then from there, I moved over to the for-profit world. And I will say the fundamentals of marketing are the same no matter where you are. For-profit world, nonprofit world, fundamentals are the same. A lot of the challenges are the same. So it's been really interesting to see the comparisons and differences. So,
Lovely. This is an especially challenging time. Every time with a nonprofit is challenging, but this one right now is especially challenging as, federal cuts in spending to support the work that nonprofits do are at a rampant pace. What are some creative, low-cost ways that nonprofits can increase their visibility to hopefully engage more in the private sector to support their work?
Yeah. I would say when budgets are tight, which I know they are, they always have been for some, they continue to be for others. I would say one of the best marketing strategies is to find ways to collaborate. I know that's broad, so I do want to touch on 3 areas that I think people can really get creative and collaborate. The first one would be to collaborate with resources. So what does that mean? If you're looking for entertainment, maybe for a upcoming fundraiser or for a family event or some fun event that you're hosting, entertainment doesn't have to be expensive. Partner up with any of the local sports teams around here. Look at the attractions that are in your neighborhood, any of the cultural groups. A lot of them have mascots that will come out and make appearances and interact with your guests. A lot of them already have children's activities built into their programming that they can bring to your event. So it's a win-win for both. You get entertainment for your guests, they get exposure to a new audience. So I think that's a great way to collaborate. Another idea is if you're looking for donor gifts, or maybe volunteer appreciation gifts, think about a nonprofit that you might be able to trade perks with, or look at a local business that might be willing to offer a discount for those individuals, or some kind of special giveaway. I think there's a lot of opportunity to collaborate in that area. The second area I would say, would be to collaborate with events. I think, you don't have to, your missions don't have to be identical to collaborate. I think you've got to look for an organization or a business that has the same shared values that you have. You don't have to compromise your mission, but collaborate, host an event together, and again, you increase your visibility to a whole nother world and another audience that then can become, interested in your organization. And then the last area that I think there's ways to collaborate would be through your board members and your volunteer network. This one needs a little bit of...
Before you go on this,
yes.
So I know you're meeting all the nonprofit executive directors here, but everyone else gathered here, who else serves as a volunteer or a board member for a particular nonprofit? Raise your hands. Oh, okay. So a lot of hands go up now. So everybody hopefully, and everyone is familiar or has a nonprofit near and dear to their heart. So I hope you are taking this message here and taking it back to your nonprofit. Okay, sorry.
That's okay. So the third area would be to collaborate within your board member network and your volunteer network. So what does that mean? Your board members and your volunteers know a lot of people. And I think sometimes it's easy to focus on why you brought them onto the board. In other words, I think you focus on the skill set that they can bring to your team. But I think it's time to really talk with these people and find out who they're connected to. For example, you might have brought someone on that provides accounting advice and accounting experience for your team. Their neighbor might own a print shop that just a simple conversation could help you get a discount or maybe get all of your printing for an event printed complimentary or pro bono. So it's really finding out and having the conversations outside of the skill set that they bring to find out who they know. It might be that another board member, maybe their neighbor owns a restaurant, and that restaurant might want to do a great night where the proceeds go to your organization from a family meal that they are able to offer. It's really it's collaborating with those groups. It's being vocal about the needs that you have or specific items that you might need for your office, your team members, your participants. It's being really vocal and utilizing those opportunities when you're in front of those people to find out what those connections might bring to the table. So those would be my 3 top areas, I think, for collaboration that can really increase visibility for you.
Lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank Audra Willingham. A little more than a minute.
Little more than a minute. If anybody wants to talk afterwards, I'll be here, and I'd love to collaborate with you guys. So
thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Now, I've already introduced the other videographer, the other bald guy back there who's here tonight, Stash Barra with See It Productions. Stash, stand up, please. All right, please. All right, so Stash is the videography force behind our next 2 nonprofits that we are featuring here. And to kick off the next one, I'm just going to have Stash's video speak for itself.
People that are pro-life, they can say it all they want to, and they can be it, but what does that actually look like for you? What does it actually mean? And that means welcoming single moms or teenagers that are pregnant and not judging them, and not shaming them, but really coming alongside them, being there for them. I'm Gracie Barker, and I'm 18, and I do online school in high school. We always grew up in the church, going to all the events and being in a Christian school. So my grandfather was one that founded this church. So everyone kind of knew who we were. Barker, that's your last name, that's kind of associated with who you are. So we were in the Bible, I feel like I definitely was a Christian even before I got pregnant. So it was a Friday night, and it was at a football game. I had some extra time, and I was like, you know what, I went with my friend. I was like, let me just take a pregnancy test. I was like, it was kind of a joke, but also not. It was positive. And I was like, what? I remember kind of just asking the Lord, why me? Because in my eyes, I wasn't this horrible person. And so I actually told my parents on my birthday that I was pregnant. So that's fun.
She was 17 that day, and she told me, and I really thought she was teasing at first. I really did. I was without words.
Don't have sex before marriage, and if you do, you're a horrible person. They didn't tell me that, but that's kind of how I felt.
I think the role Sav-A-Life played was really Gracie having an independent place she could go to, and she would be loved and supported and learn things that we may not even think about, telling her.
Very educational. I like to know what to expect, different milestones with Zane.
Loved working with Gracie. She was not emotional. She was there. Let's get the facts. I can tell, especially later on, she wants to be the best mom that she can be.
PA has really been great. You can tell she genuinely cares about you and she prays for you. And it was also fun to be with other people that were kind of in the same, not situation, everyone has different stories, but we all had one common theme, an unexpected pregnancy. the environment they create. Like, it is so, like, judge-free zone. You don't feel like you are being looked down upon. The only, like, person that matters in view of me is God. I don't really have to worry about what, my high school friends or anyone thinks about me, because I'm really no different than any other Christian that has made mistakes, Just some bring kids into the world and some do other things. So this is Zane. Zane, can you say hey? Anyways, he's 9 months old, and his dad just picked the name. And I was like, oh yeah. And I think we looked at it and it was like God's gift. That's what it means.
Zane, he's been the most wonderful addition to our family. He's brought a lot of love and laughter, into our home. And sometimes we sit around and ask ourselves, what did we do before Zane came along?
When I look at Zane, I'm just reminded of the Lord's faithfulness to me and to him. Just really every step of the way, the Lord has provided people and places like Sav-A-Life to just kind of come alongside me, and I see all of that in him. And so I'm really thankful.
All right. And please welcome to the stage Lisa Hogan, Executive Director of Sav-A-Life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
I don't think we're on.
Try that again.
Are we on now? Nope. I can't see it.
Maybe these got turned off here.
Sorry.
Check. We're all good. All right.
Never mind.
So, thank you for being here. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Now, by my reckoning, there is no more personal issue that, unfortunately, it's usually a woman who has to face than an unexpected pregnancy. And unfortunately, that's become so politicized in our country, this situation that women find themselves in. And I was really grateful to read on your website before we even started this conversation that you're not out there trying to change public policy or any of this. You're there to support women.
That's right. We're there to greet them at the door with love, compassion, offer help and hope in a non-judgment environment. While the world looks at it as a political issue, we don't look at it that way. We just genuinely love and care for the women, men, and families we get to serve. And we focus on mom. It's yes, we are all about the baby, but it's mom we're looking at because we want to make a difference in her life first. And then if she, once she learns options, oftentimes she will recognize that life she's carrying is of value as well. If we can show her value, we can also show her the value of the life she's carrying in that womb right now. So.
Well, thank you. The conversations that you have with the unexpected expectancies of women, there's a lot of fear and anxiety that you have shared with me. What is the cause of some of that fear and anxiety?
It's all over the place, but depending on their circumstances, it could be, I've got plans, I'm going to college, I'm going to get this degree, I'm going to do this, and this completely interrupts those plans. Or if I decide to have this child, this man's out of my life. Or my parents are going to kick me out of my home because they've lectured me. You heard Gracie say that. They've made it clear that this is not an appropriate action, and then the consequence of that action. So it can really, financial is huge. That's the number one reason women and families are scared about a pregnancy. It can be inconvenience, but our job is to help them take a look at that. What is driving the fear? And that's what our advocates and staff members do. They just sit down and listen to what's driving their fears, and hopefully provide encouragement and empower them to say, hey, you've got time, take a deep breath, And let's think through those and let's talk through some of those fears. And are they really insurmountable? Is there a way to get through that? Yeah, you want to go to college. And by the way, Gracie's a great example of that. She's in college right now. It's hard, but she's a great mom. So we want to she's a great role model for some clients. We can show them that they can do all of that. They just have to work a little bit harder than probably the average person might have to. But everybody can do it.
Yeah. This is me talking, not you.
Okay.
All right. Our country makes it very challenging for usually a woman to have this situation. I mean, we don't provide paid maternity leave. We don't provide universal child care. We don't, healthcare can be difficult and challenging. So anyway, whatever that's worth. All right. But you mentioned the money, because money is so important. And oftentimes I think the women that you first meet feel alone in this. But you have this fatherhood initiative.
We do.
Which I was unaware of, and is really inspiring.
One impressed by it at first, and when you just heard of what it was until you saw what it was.
Exactly. Yeah, true. Right. So, share.
Okay. By the way, can I say that we have pregnancy centers have a reputation of saying, go ahead and have the baby and good luck with that. Well, that's not what we're here for. Yeah. And this is where fatherhood does come in. But any woman who chooses to continue a pregnancy, we have resources and programs for them to continue with us until the child is 3 years of age. And part of that includes the dad. We learned a long time ago, in 2010, we were given a grant to help fund a position for a fatherhood or men's ministry person, because the father involved in the life of a child is so important. And research bears it out that they're 60% more likely to have what you would call a successful life and finish school and really just be more successful. So we encourage dads to first start off with the pregnancy decision, but then to be involved. They may not be in a long-term relationship, and sometimes it's not good for them to be in a long-term relationship. But if they are active and engaged and work with moms, so co-parenting is a big part of what we have an opportunity to talk about. The child is going to have a greater likelihood of not ending up in a similar poverty situation. All of our clients who come to our classes, moms and dads, earn money to be a part of that program. And I say money, it's baby bucks, fake money, monopoly money. And then we have a boutique where they can go shop. So addressing the financial need of that, they can go into the baby boutique. We have clients who hadn't bought diapers in a regular store for 2 years. So they can buy diapers and wipes and clothes and beds and anything that they need. And dads are encouraged to be a part of that. But more importantly, the Fatherhood Initiative came about to have empower dads to speak into the decision with mom. Because what they have learned, and a lot of them grow up in a matriarchal society and don't have an active father speaking into their life, so they don't know that was
part
they
of
have a voice.
my skepticism.
I understand. I do. I was messing with you.
No, I appreciate it because we talk about, we often hear, her body, her choice.
That's exactly right, and that's what they've heard.
Right. Well, and because unfortunately, men have abdicated any responsibility.
Well, yeah, or they have never been empowered to give. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we want to do. We want them to know that they're an important part of the process as well. And let's face it, they were involved in the process. Yeah. So, well, I'll just leave there. Then, so we want
even Catholic school
right
taught me that.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
I'll just stop right there. But when we talk to them, we find out that they really aren't talking to each other, the woman and man. So do you want to be a dad?
Yeah.
That's probably the first question. That's the first time somebody's asked them that question. Some do, some don't. Some of our moms do, some of our moms don't. So we encourage them to talk to each other. We encourage them to, if they really, really want to be a dad, to say that they want to be a dad, and encourage them and empower them then to speak up and take a part. And then we also try to encourage dads to be a part of the ultrasound, and especially when the mom comes back more than once, because they're so visual. Men are so visual. Women are too, but men really are. And for them to see the heartbeat and see it flickering makes a big impact on them as well. And we know it does for women. So.
Yeah, and so thank you so much for being
Sure.
here. We're going to end, though, with one of your board members who used to lead your fatherhood initiative. During our interview with him, we could have just ran 30 minutes of the TV show, just him talking, because he's that powerful. But I asked him, all right, you got a minute. Well,
we ended up being a minute.
He took a minute. But you've got 1 minute to talk me into wanting to be part of this child's life. And here's what he had to say.
If I've got 30 seconds to convince a guy, right, to be involved in a child's life, one of the things that I would say is, I would start with your own story. You know, what is it that you really feel like you're on this earth to do? You know, what is it you really feel like ultimately you want to have? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to be married at some point? Really, maybe what we're looking at is not that you're in a situation that you don't want to be in. Maybe you're in a situation for a timing that you didn't prepare for. And if we can help close the gap between whether or not you feel ready and whether or not you feel like you have the resources, then maybe we discover that this is not a wrong decision. This is not a wrong situation. It's just a harder timing than what you prepared for. But that's why we're here. We're here to help close the gap between what you're prepared for, what you have, what you don't have, so that we can help you speed up that timeline, get ready, and actually just do something you already want to do, maybe just a little sooner than you plan.
All right, many thanks again to Lisa Hogan and Sav-A-Life. My next guest, as I mentioned at the start, dear friend who has made all of this possible. The Mike and Gillian Goodrich Foundation funded my first series of Buzz episodes. They are funding this series of episodes. And here to talk about kind of the lay of the land for nonprofits is Executive Director Carol Butler. I got you. Well,
all
hello.
right. Excuse me while I get up on this tall stool. Hi.
Hi. Thank you.
Of course.
Always. Yeah, lots of applause now for this woman, right? Remember, she's the one with the money, okay? So, as I referenced earlier, this has been an especially challenging season for nonprofit agencies and the people who are served by nonprofits with the cuts that are coming out of Washington, D.C. over the last 3 months. And, you know, I know what I'm seeing in Virginia. What are you seeing here in Birmingham? What's the mood of nonprofits given what's been happening?
I think there's a lot of caution. There's a lot of concern and fear. It's very apparent that certain sectors are going to be hurt more than others. I've spent probably the last 3 months having conversations with people that who have been funding partners for us, people that we really believe in their work, to say, so what is your exposure to federal dollars? And not just federal dollars that come straight down, but go through the state. And, you know, I can't say this with any true certainty, but I would hazard to guess that many of the organizations that you have filmed, since we got kind of going on this, have some exposure, and watching it disappear without a substitute is frightening. Concerning. Concerning is probably a better word. We know that philanthropy cannot fill the gap that federal funding does. And so it's concerning that that the services that are being provided by so many really wonderful nonprofits, just like the ones that we have seen tonight, are going to lose funding, and many of them are going to lose funding and the means to do their work for those people who need it the most.
Yeah. And my sense is that even nonprofits that aren't relying on federal funding or any federal funding are now being in a position to there's more competition for private dollars from with those organizations that previously relied a lot on federal funding. So now the pie has gotten smaller and a lot more slices that are being doled out.
I think that's very true. And I think part of my real concern is around, from the Goodrich Foundation place, we fund capital campaigns, we fund programmatic grants in different measure. But some more than others. But I do worry about the combined force of less federal funding and money coming down for what I consider kind of essential services that the government doesn't provide, but this wonderful plethora of nonprofits do provide, and finding that, that funding source cut off, and then worrying about needing bigger facilities, the things that fall into the capital campaign. And I'm not sure that, I have a concern that the larger donors who really support a lot of those bigger capital campaign kind of asks, they may not feel like they're in the same place financially to do those kinds of long-term investments that they support. So it's kind of a perfect storm. And we will see, I guess, as we go through this year, how much of this actually plays out and how much of it, smooths out. I don't know.
Yeah. How has Goodrich Foundation responded during this time?
I think we've tried to be cautious. We do grants. We do a grant cycle 4 times a year. So in our first cycle, which was in March, we had our meeting in March. We talked about being a lot more cautious than we have, just to wait and see how everything plays out. Things, as y'all all know, seem to be changing day to day. And so we really felt like, well, maybe we should kind of wait and see what September looks like and how much of this actually plays out and how much of it kind of folds out okay. I don't know. It's y'all know as much as I do. So we're just trying to make sure that we do worry that a lot of our long-term funding partners have some major cuts. Well, I've spent the last 2 months on the phone saying, so how much exposure do you have to federal dollars that come down either from the feds or through the state? What does that make your budget look like? What are you giving up? What are you losing? And there are varying degrees to that answer. Some of our grantees that we've had don't have a lot of exposure. Some do. And in the end, I guess we'll get to the fall and say, okay, so what are we going to do to try to counteract some of that?
Well, this is not a buzz.
Sorry.
Which I knew, but I wanted that, being one who cares and loves nonprofits and all the work that they do, I felt as though this was an opportunity to at least have these dire conversations. What message or hope or what's something that we who are gathered here can do to help the work that you're doing with the Goodrich Foundation?
I think the best advice that I would give is, for those of you who depend on funding from private foundations, you need to talk to them. You need to explain to them where you are. There seems to be this kind of feeling that, we don't need to talk to them unless we have to. For most of us, we want to hear from our grantees. We want to hear, I'm really nervous. Y'all gave us this grant and we've got this coming up and we're not sure what's going to happen. We would rather know. Most of us consider ourselves your partners. We are grantees, but we are really partners. We are investors. And we need you. If you're feeling really nervous because you've got $500,000 in a federal grant that's not going to show up, and what are we going to do? You need to call your investors and say, I need you to talk with me about how we might be able to negotiate this. Because what happens a lot of times from my side of this equation is we don't find out until it's too late. Or somebody doesn't want to tell us at all. And that doesn't make us a partner. That just leaves us not being able to help in any way. So I really do. I mean, most of the Birmingham funders that I know are very happy to have a conversation. They want to know where you are. And if you can call them up and say, we're really nervous about this. We've got this big federal grant. It may happen, it may not. We don't know what's going to happen. If we don't get it, this is what's going to happen. Can we talk about it? Most of them are happy to do that. So I really encourage you to reach out to them and say, here's my position. Or if everything's cool, great. But if you're really worried about something tonight, call that funder and say, can I just talk to you about this? I would far prefer to know in advance, we got a problem over here and we really like what they're doing. And maybe if we plug in something over here, they'll get out, they'll survive past this. I would far prefer to hear that. So I really encourage you to do that.
And may I just close by saying what an exceptional place, and I mean this with all my heart, having been in the nonprofit space in Virginia and working with foundations there. Birmingham is an exceptional place when it comes to the generosity, the number, the collaboration that foundations like Goodrich Foundation, I mean, this is an exceptional place, and I know that they're going to do all that they can to help get us through this particular phase. But you're very lucky to have backers like this, because this is not replicated in other communities. So, Carol Butler, Mike and Gillian, Goodrich Foundation, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, time for something even more special, and that is what I like to do with these Buzz Life shows, is have a musical guest. And our musical guest tonight comes to us from Down syndrome of Alabama, and his name is Daniel Chaplin. Daniel, get on up here. Yeah, good. All right, so I met Daniel a couple weeks ago when we were doing our episode on Down syndrome of Alabama. And what is the law firm where you work at?
Wiggins Child, Pentanus Fisher and Goldfarb, LLC.
Yeah, there's a lot. All right, that's why I asked him. I couldn't remember it, right? So Wiggins Child, and we were talking, and you started listing all of your accomplishments. So you have been a ballroom dancer?
Yes.
And what was the show that you did here?
Dancing with the Stars of the Magic City.
Dancing with the Stars, Magic City, yep. And this man is also about to go into the Guinness Book of World Records. Is that correct?
Yes.
Doing what?
As becoming the fastest individual with Down syndrome to complete a half marathon in all 50 states.
Yeah. And for our purposes here tonight, what do you also do?
I'm a classical opera singer, and I'll be singing opera tonight.
All right, and what are you singing?
Tonight I'll be singing Time to Say Goodbye.
Time to Say Goodbye. Daniel Chaplin, everybody.
Time to say goodbye.
Yes. Daniel Chaplin. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, let's now meet the Executive Director of Down Syndrome Alabama, Missy Haughery. I'll help you.
I'm probably going to have trouble on the tall stool as well. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for
absolutely.
everything.
You need.
I'll stand.
You'll stand. You'll
I'll
stand.
stand.
I'll stand with you.
If that's okay. Thank you, and thank you for just this opportunity. And I think that's the key word. Just like what you gave Daniel, this opportunity to sing for us and entertain us. And thank you for the opportunities that you've given him to shine his light on us, to shine our lights to everyone else to see.
Well, happy to do it. Daniel's the one with the talent. Happy to provide a stage for him. So this was awesome. It's really been inspiring to see the community that you have created through Down Syndrome of Alabama. And that hasn't always been the case for families who have someone with Down syndrome.
Correct.
Yeah. It was like, talk about where we were 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Well, and I think as you and I started this conversation about the show and about it highlighting our organization, as much as I want that, I want it to also highlight our people, because our people are who really shine. And that was not always the case. And it was not the case because society dictated that. Even as late as 30 or 40 years ago, people were told by physicians to leave their child at the hospital and that they would take care of everything else. And that was a myth that I thought had happened. And it wasn't until I met the family who started the National Down Syndrome Society, and she told me the story of the physician coming into her room and saying that. And her daughter was born in 1978.
Yeah. And here we got the opportunity, while we were here a couple of weeks ago, to go to the law firm and to interview Daniel. We went to Gigi's clothing store and got to interview, where is she? There's Grace. There's Grace. We got to go to Chick-fil-A and interview Wilson. We got to go to a track meet, and I think there's Vaughn. Is he here? And who else?
And George. We have two state champions.
Two state champions.
In this house right now.
Vaughn and George, stand up, please. Yes.
Both of them won state.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and so you'll see all of them in our episode. So how fortunate we are that they are part of the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
At the same time, we still have work to do. And you were sharing with me, as accepting as our society is, one of your main efforts through Down Syndrome Alabama is to lobby in Montgomery and in D.C. for changes. What are some of these policies or laws that you're looking to change?
There are many laws that hold our people back from being their best selves. The Marriage Penalty Act is one of them, that if two people who are receiving disability want to get married, and they do get married, then that amount decreases.
By like 25%.
It doesn't stay the same.
Yeah.
And no one's asking for it to go up.
Yeah.
We just want it to stay the same. So they're penalized for that. One of the recent laws that we were successful in helping pass was Exton's Law, which was for organ discrimination, because in COVID, it came to light that people with intellectual disabilities are discriminated against for things like organ transplants and life-saving measures when
they go to the bottom of the list.
They go to the bottom of the list.
Right.
And so there's constantly a fight. And the fight is at every level. It is local in your own school systems, it's at the state level, and it's national as well.
Yeah. For everyone gathered here, if you had a message to share about the work that you're doing, what's something that they could do going out into the world now that they're perhaps a little more familiar with Down Syndrome Alabama? What is something that folks here could take away with them that would help your mission?
Let us teach you. Let us show you. Let us be the people who educate you, because we want you to know, and we want you to see all the wonderful possibilities that people with Down syndrome have and what they bring to our community.
All right, you got it? All right, and with that, stick around up here. Let's show our final video clip about Down syndrome of Alabama.
Down Syndrome Alabama is a nonprofit organization that serves the state of Alabama for people who have Down syndrome, their families, and their communities. Our focus is education, advocacy, and connections, and we hope to build an Alabama that is a brighter, more inclusive place.
We've just always reached for that. We've always thought it's our world and we have a place in it.
Having a disability is a-okay. You're just focused on what you're doing and not getting distracted about what others are doing.
When a baby is born with Down syndrome, or when a family has a prenatal diagnosis, there are many ways that they can get in touch with us. Sometimes a social worker from a hospital will call. Sometimes the family will reach out.
Down Syndrome Alabama really provided all the resources I needed to dive in. I cannot imagine my life or this journey without the support of Down Syndrome Alabama.
I hope that individuals will understand that a child with Down syndrome is just a child with Down syndrome. One kid is one kid. One person is one individual. We need to recognize that every child or every individual has their own set of strengths and areas of growth that they have.
My name's David Potter. I'm one of the supervisors here. Wilson's been working with us for a long time now. He is a great employee for us because he's so relatable for all the guests. The guests just love him.
We really love Down Syndrome Alabama because it wanted to build a relationship with every parent, every sibling, and everybody that's involved in our family. Ryan has a great personality, so we're ready to see what else Down Syndrome Alabama has to offer.
It's really special. We're all friends and we're all family. I think Grace has met a lot of amazing people, and so many people have gotten to know how amazing this girl is right here.
I wish that people will not make assumptions of what they think that Down syndrome is, where they think, oh, there must be happy kids and they smile all the time. The variety of personalities in children with Down syndrome than you do see with every single other person that's there.
No, we wouldn't change anything. We love this little guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He is the best.
Everybody benefits from being together. In an inclusive society, we all benefit, those who are setting the example and those who are learning.
As much as we can teach her, she teaches us so much every single day. Yeah. I love you. Yeah.
I love you so much.
All right. Okay, that'll do it for tonight's Buzz Live. Thank you so much, Missy, for all the work that you do with Down Syndrome Alabama. Thank you so much for all the nonprofits who are gathered here tonight and the work that you do. Please tune in tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Central on Alabama Public Television to see our first episode starring Christian Service Mission, and then every Friday after that through the month of May. You can also find them on our YouTube channel at Buzz for Good. Until then, thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Buzz for Good in the communities that you hold dear. And with that, let's get some music going, and thank you all for being here. Good night.